The
Yep.
basics of how to handle money and trade, and the fact that, hey, if you want something, whether it's a trade, it costs something of value.
Yeah.
So this is how we're going to trade. And hey, you know what? There may come a day where you may not earn anymore, so you should keep some of it.
Yes.
So I'm talking about those principles. I believe they should teach us a little bit more about in
One hundred
school.
percent. 100%.
Say like saving for a rainy day, so investing, that kind of stuff, right? How do you make something small grow into something bigger?
Yeah, never be afraid of being a student. Don't get your ego aside. Like you always have to be a student, man. There's so much to learn and so much to kind of motivation you can get from other people. What's going on, everybody? My name is Carlo.
I'm Christian, and welcome to Behind the Strength podcast, where we help you with your health, wealth, and peace of mind.
How's it going, man?
Good, man.
How's your
Yourself?
health, wealth, and peace of mind?
Pretty fucking good today.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Yeah, you look good.
Thanks, man. So do you.
Yeah,
Looking, working out.
No, yeah,
Not really. Okay. The number one thing that we want to talk about today, manners and common courtesy, right?
Yeah.
They don't teach you that in school.
Yeah, and
They
I
don't
think
really.
And there's a shitload of people that actually need that course, man.
1000%. Holding doors open for other people, not just for an older lady, not just for a female, just because she looks good. Just holding the door open for the next person behind you. Very simple thing like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's common courtesy.
People would deem that as weakness as well, too, though, right?
Yeah, but you know what? It's just
But
a
it's not.
courteous.
That's actually displays way more strength than people realize.
So that goes into the second part of kind of like point number one is the norms of North American society, because guess what? In other cultures, it's normal. It's okay to go belch on a table right after a meal. It's almost given as a compliment to the chef or the cook or the people that served you the meal. As in North America, that would be absolutely rude, right?
Yeah.
Cultural norms. There's kissing of the teeth is very normal in a lot of other societies.
Especially in Scarborough.
But the cultural norms of North America, is that okay? Like, they don't teach you that shit in school, you know what I mean? And those are everyday manners and common courtesy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Giving up your seat for a pregnant woman or for an older lady or whatever it may be.
In a society where everything is about me right now, we definitely need to bring that back. That this whole movement of everybody saying, "Oh, accept me for who I am, and this is me, and whatever and stuff like that," which is great. But let's not forget that manners and respect is always going to be.
Yeah, pleases. Thank yous. I'm
please.
sorry.
And
Yeah.
especially when we deal with our clients.
Yes, thank you for coming in.
A simple thank you and please, and it makes a huge difference in the whole experience of things, right?
Yes.
So
Number two, this is a huge one for every single person. How to handle finances. What has to happen when you get paid? Your taxes, balancing your finances out, right? Like simple stuff like that. Nobody ever taught us saving, 25, 30% of your income or every paycheck.
financial strategy.
Financial strategy. Like nobody teaches you that. And I don't care who you are. You don't have to be an investment banker. You don't have to be a multimillionaire. But, learning how to handle your finances is an integral part of life. Because that's trade.
The system, if you call it the matrix, they don't want you to understand these things because
Of course not.
they want you to frivolously spend on dumb shit because now, oh, here's a visa, right? You get out of school or a student visa. They don't realize that the debt is gonna slowly catch up to you.
the
in
interest
amount.
is what
The
kills
interest is what kills you. People don't even understanding interest rates is by far one of the most key things that you could ever
1000%.
learn because it's not the upfront percentage that kills you.
And the average person will think, hey, you know what? I could pay this furniture set over a span of 10 years. That's fantastic. I'm going to take that way out. You end up paying an extra fucking almost double the price for it.
Yeah,
So, for a 10 grand set, you're paying almost $18,000 by the end of the day. Is it worth it?
I
Right?
think another thing too is this just as much as I do. Like people hate fucking math though.
Yes.
Right? People hate
They do.
math. They don't like numbers. A lot of people would rather ignore these things and run away from it and hide from it.
But I also think that as a society, if we've never taught them about it, to be comfortable with it, that it is such a taboo thing that you don't talk about until grade 10 accounting. The basics of how to handle money and trade, and the fact that, hey, if you want something, whether it's a trade, it costs something of value.
Yeah.
So this is how we're going to trade. And hey, you know what? There may come a day where you may not earn anymore, so you should keep some of it.
Yes.
So I'm talking about those principles. I believe they should teach us a little bit more about in
100%. 100%.
You know, say like saving for a rainy day, so investing, that kind of stuff, right? How do you make something small grow into something bigger?
Yep.
Right. So,
Even the principle alone of saving 30% regardless of your income.
yes.
That, the story that I was saying, remember when we were making $200
Yeah.
bi-weekly? I challenged myself to even start there, 30%.
Yeah, and that's
the
$200
dude,
bi-weekly.
That's how much we were making for the longest period of time when
Bi-weekly.
we first started this business, because we dumped all our money into growing the business. So when we were financially pretty fucking broke, I challenged myself. I'm like, you know what? We're already broke. Might as well see what happens if I could tighten the belt a bit more.
Yeah, of
right. Because
course.
there's always these random spendings that we always have. It's like, oh, you know what?
1000%.
We'll just eat out and whatever. That's
course.
$5-10. So I save 30%. And you know what happens when you save 30%? You force yourself to rethink those frivolous spending.
1000%, man. It's like when you're on
Right?
a diet, dude.
It's like, oh no, I can't do that. Secondly, what happens is that
financial diet.
you'll start seeing these, like, initially it's gonna be small, and you're like, whatever, it's $20, $30, $40, even $100. And then when it builds, though, it's crazy and you look back at it like, holy shit, I saved this much money.
Yes.
And secondly, you're like, holy shit, I wasted this much money over time.
yeah.
So even that alone, I always challenge people, regardless of how much bills you're paying, who you owe, how much debt you have, save that 30 or even 20%.
Yep.
Every single paycheck, your life will
goes
be
a long way.
totally different, but be disciplined to not touch that
Yes.
for a long period of time.
Yes, definitely.
Because if you want to be financially free, you have to save until you have a bunch of money, and then you invest that properly.
A great topic that they should have taught us in school. How to be heard without being loud. There's a huge difference.
That's a big one.
Right? How to be heard without being loud. How do I properly communicate if I want something without being pushy or forceful? How to reach out to people, right?
Yep.
How to properly communicate yourself.
Yep.
How you're feeling. Because I can guarantee you there'd be so many more issues resolved in your life if you actually take the time to learn communication. And in business, we have had to do that over and over again. We still do.
Yep.
Proper communication, proper leadership, how to connect with people, body language, all that kind of stuff. And I think that even starting out and you're growing up, if we were taught all that stuff, even like portions of it,
Yes.
proper handshake, proper eye contact,
Yep.
right? When you're addressing somebody, you speak to them with, you're
Right-
looking
right
at them in
to-
the
yeah,
eye.
like
You're
look in
addressing
the
the
eye.
person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Introduce yourself first. Don't wait for the other person. Those kind of things. And how to communicate what you want.
And I think another thing is how to ethically influence somebody as well.
That's it. That's
Ethically.
huge.
Ethically, I say ethically because, dude, we've been around for millions of years, right?
Yeah.
And till now, there's still a lot to learn about humans and
course.
psychology and what we react to. But there's so much science already behind how to influence people, what we react to.
Yeah.
Right? Certain stimuluses.
Marketing, man.
Marketing 101. Like
Marketing
there's a
101.
whole industry to study and analyze how human behavior
React.
and they've figured this out. So instead of being frustrated that you can't get your point across, it's actually super valuable if you first of all learn how to analyze somebody, how they communicate, who they are,
Yep.
right? What kind of personality they are. That's a huge thing. And second, how do you convey your message?
People often think it's just about what you say. It's not necessarily that. It's about how you say it.
Yeah.
And if you come across somebody, if you tell somebody, hey, listen, man, some of your words are a little bit hurtful at times and some people take offense to it, as opposed to coming at you and saying, hey, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Those are two different ways of coming at somebody.
Yep.
And bringing something up. It's essentially you're saying the same thing.
Another one for relationships. I don't know. Have you ever read that book, The Love Languages, whatever? It's pretty much how different people show love, how they display love.
that's massive,
Are you
yeah.
physical? Are you words of encouragement?
Yes.
Are you the person who likes to get gifts? That's how I think I should be loved. You know what I mean? And
Right.
sometimes there's a mix of them, but it was very interesting. That concept was like, you might be displaying love and affection to somebody, but they are totally closed off because that's not how they receive love. Imagine how much more profound your relationships will be if you start understanding how people receive things.
Well, it's through bettering your own communication skills.
That's where it starts. Yeah.
Your understanding of how everybody else communicates
Yeah.
just kind of broadens.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Number 4, goal setting and timelining. Like how to really attain something. how to make a dream, a wish, into an actual goal, into a tangible goal, and say, we're going to get to that peak. Right? We're going to get to that peak. I want to be here. I want to do this by this time. What are the steps for me to get there? Yeah, where do you want to be at in the next 3 years? The next year, the next 3, the next 5? Fuck, if you can see the next 10 years, all the power to you. You should be doing it.
Yeah, that was a strategy that I heard. I actually saw on YouTube the other weeks. Like, when was the last time you and your significant other actually sat down? When have you sat down and be like, babe, what do we both want in this relationship? Where do we both want to go? How can we attack that? We always focus on financial or career, like let's map everything out.
But everything starts at
But
the home,
then when you get fucking pissed off in your relationship, it's like
everything's gone to shit.
I'm guilty for that.
Everything's gone to
you
shit
know,
for
you
the
just
day.
when you
For
get
sure.
angry, it's like, oh, this is not working. It's like, no. But my wife, she challenged me, like, how come you put everything into SNU? Everything that you do, you plan so much, but how come you don't do that for a relationship?
I heard the same. Yeah, you don't have that same. Where's that
and
leadership?
It's true. But
Yeah.
but guys like us, it's kind of like, this is going back to how we show love. Look, I'm working my ass off for you, for us to build this together.
Yes. I really got a lot out of this podcast.
Oh,
man.
see?
Thank you, man. Thanks.
Yo,
thanks.
follow the
at
podcast, man.
BTS. Cool. Okay.
Download the podcast,
Number
bro.
5. How to get through the tough times. Heartbreak. How do you bounce out of that? Everybody's gonna deal with that at some point in their life, from the time they're a kid to all the way to growing up, right? Some people still going through it.
Yes.
How to get through these tough times. There's so many books out there and all that kind of stuff, self-help. And I guess maybe that's why that industry is all opened up, because there was no. This was a very taboo. What do you mean tough times? Everything's great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So-
Especially in our is it parents or grandparents' age, where
Oh, you
don't
don't talk
fucking
about that. You don't
complain.
talk about that.
No,
Yeah.
you don't talk. Are you complaining?
don't talk
We were
about
we
that.
just finished going to war, and you're complaining about something.
Yeah. Food rations
Right?
and all.
Food
And excuse
ration-
me. You're
oh,
what?
sorry,
You don't
you're-
like those peas? And okay.
Yeah, but now that we're evolving, and I think this is part of why things are starting to open up right now, because there's no real conflict, right? We settled down just a little bit. There is conflict in the world, but in terms of we're able to talk about it now, right? We're able to be open and be like, okay, like I'm actually mentally not where I need to be, and it's really good that the people are opening up, and there's a I guess a forum of people saying it's okay to talk about it, but I definitely would like to see it covered in schools, especially early, right?
yeah.
Imagine Brooklyn has a sense, an idea of what that means or what that
1000%.
looks like as she gets older.
agree.
Because come on, how many times did we feel that mental stress, even from elementary school, right? Those stresses.
And you just internalize it.
And internalize it. High school, it's not cool to talk about your fucking feelings.
exactly,
You have to man up and all that
for sure.
stuff. Yeah, so I mean, I would love to see, instead of just having to go to the guidance counselor, because that was the thing, right? Going to guidance counselor, kind of talking
nobody
it
wants
out.
to talk to our guidance
Yeah.
counselor.
And I think it should be an open forum. So yeah, this is definitely a huge one, huge one.
Number 6, how to attract like-minded people. And nobody actually even teaches you about surrounding yourself around the people you want to be like. So they tell you about, don't surround yourself with bad people or the bad kids or whatever. But, nobody ever teaches you or tells you about, hey, you know what? If you're trying to become a space engineer, you might want to start hanging around those type of people.
Yeah.
Right? But like-minded people.
Networking and connecting with
That's huge.
people who could teach you stuff, other people who could teach you. Well, like they always say, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, or you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room.
You get
That's
what I
massive,
mean?
Yeah.
So the power of like we said, raising your temperature, raising your awareness, raising your ability to create a life that you want. Because the more information you get, the more you learn from other people, especially when you connect with people, the more you're gonna grow.
Of course.
Right? The more opportunities you're gonna see.
Of course. Number 7, there's it's something inside of everybody. We call it our superhuman abilities.
Yep.
They should have actually taught us this in school, but
Yeah.
they don't want you somewhere in the government. They don't want you to maximize your potential. So stuff like neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability for the brain to change throughout a lifetime. So which means our ability to adapt to things, to environment. That's what made the human being kind of last over these centuries and years and thousands of years, is that we can adapt
Yeah.
to climates, to environments, to
Do you remember
stresses.
back in the day? As you get older, your brain stops working.
yes.
As you get older, I'm getting too old. I'm not, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. New science has actually proved that you can.
Of course you can.
Like your neural pathways just keep expanding and it's infinite. So our ability to learn new things is infinite. And this is why I always tell people, like, don't hold yourself to a certain truth. Like, you know how a lot of people like, oh, I am this, and that's it.
Of course.
Because you're depriving yourself.
Ever-changing.
You're always changing, just like your brain.
Ever-changing,
That mentality of I could learn new things as many times as possible.
Of course.
Like, why not learn more things?
Yeah.
Why not and expand your horizon, especially in 2018 and up, because everything's moving so much faster.
Of course.
That we have to learn so much more things.
For sure.
Remember when we started in 2011, how much more shit did we have to learn today?
Yes.
I beg everybody to start adopting a growth mindset, to be like, I'm a student forever, just because I think maybe you're so traumatized in school. It's like, fuck learning. I don't
fuck
wanna
learning. I want to just numb out right after work.
Yeah, you can't do that, man.
You know, especially if you're going to work and you're already numbing out to begin with, and then you're going to go home and numb yourself out from the numbing work that you did, man, you are wasting life away. Yeah, let's start challenging your brain, and go beyond a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, there's 4 levels of learning, right? Level 1, you don't know what you don't know. Second is that you figure out that you don't know something.
Yes.
Third is you try something and you're getting good at it.
And competently competent.
Yep. And then the 4th level is you're
competently
competent. Like, you don't even have to think anymore.
Yeah.
Unconsciously competent.
Unconsciously
So
competent.
there's 4 levels of learning, and once you understand that and recognize where you're at in that, what level you're at in that certain thing, you're like, okay, I'm just at level 3 right now. Let me get to level 2 and then level 1. Because everything is correlated to everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain things that
That's perfect. So that goes right into our next. So maybe you want to explain about
the
the next part is epigenetics.
The next one is epigenetics. Epigenetics is pretty much, it's a new science. People figured out that your genetics doesn't determine your health and stuff like that anymore. It's actually your environment and your whatever you think, and your environment as well will dramatically change your genetics. It's not the other way around, that you're predisposed to cancer or illness and stuff like that. It's actually the other way around. It's your environment and the way you think and your vibration.
Yes.
Why this is important is this is the single reason why human beings were able to be adaptable in any fucking circumstance. Mm-hmm. That's why we could live in Antarctica. That's why we could live in the fucking ocean if we wanted to.
Yep.
That science alone makes you realize that you could be anything you want.
Yes.
Like, you are adaptable.
So
right?
that actually goes right into our very last point, is the RAS, the reticular activating system.
Yes.
So if you want to just talk about that.
So reticular activating system is the part of your brain that decides what's information is the most important at a given time. So why that's as important is that if you're trying to achieve something, you could take advantage of this system, because if you practice on focusing on what you want to succeed in, what your life is going to look like, your RAS is going to give you the information that you're looking for. So it's kind of like, when people say the universe aligns and stuff like that, it's not really true. Your brain is seeing the opportunities that you want. But it actually works in reverse, because if you're a negative person, you know how you always say, oh, fuck, man, everything's bad today. Everything's wrong today. It's because your RAS is focusing on these things. So it could either be a killer, or it could be, it's one of the most superhuman thing that you could have. So what we used to do, or we do all the time, is that's one of the reasons why we put all these people in the background to inspire us, to remind us of greatness and achieving stuff, that people who went through hard times
still came up
on top, right? So that's why we're always filling our RAS, right?
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, to cap it off here, there's a lot of things that we mentioned here today that you probably didn't learn in school, that you maybe that you need to learn. So we're gonna come up with a little plan. Number 1, assess where you're at, and where you're at in life and what you're currently facing. So maybe if there's this particular skill that you need to adapt for a new position in your life and your job, or if you're not where you're at in your relationship and you need to learn how to communicate that properly, dig deep and find out, how do I communicate my feelings? How do I communicate myself? Or if all kinds of stuff, right?
So, yeah, every time there's a problem that I face in life, whether it be business, relationships, health, I make it a habit now to search on these topics online.
Yeah.
I always Google, like, if say we have financial issues here, I Google the shit out of it, and then I pick my top 3 and I start reading. So the moment you do that and make that a habit, again, going back to your, the superhuman abilities, your RAS, all that stuff, you're gonna start becoming such a totally different but improved person, man.
Yeah, you're gonna be a solution-based person.
Yeah,
and,
and
instead
then
of
you
a
could be like-
problem-focused person.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
so it's really the master at finding out the information that you need at the time.
Yeah.
That's really where it is.
That goes hand in hand with number 2 is asking yourself what tools or information you'll need to get yourself better equipped for what you are facing or wherever you're at in your life. So that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, this day and age, man, you could find information about anything. We're like, there's so much. We're fucking drowning in
So
information.
number 3, find the right people and find the right resources and use them.
Yes.
Use them. Don't be
Use
afraid
them,
to ask somebody for help. Don't be afraid to ask somebody for information. Everybody needs a Yoda in every stage and portion of their life. So I don't believe that there should be one Yoda throughout your whole life. The master will come when the student is ready, right? It's true, and it's very true. You know, when you're ready to receive the lessons, the master will show up, and in particular, that particular stage of your life, or area of your life.
Yeah, never be afraid of being a student. Don't get your ego aside. Like you always have to be a student, man. There's so much to learn and so much to kind of, motivation you can get from other people.
Just like always, number 4 would be set a plan and a timeline. Get serious and get very, very realistic with your timeline. It's got to be realistic, right? Push yourself to an extent where you don't think it's possible, but at the end of the day, you don't want to be so far out of reach.
Yeah.
Some people are motivated different ways, though, so you can go back and forth in that way, right? So some people are motivated with such a high goal. Some people are motivated by such a low goal.
Yeah,
that
low
they beat
goal.
it.
Yeah. They need to be massaged into their
You
goal.
really have to figure out what type of person you are and what motivates you. So that's a big thing.
Self-awareness.
Last thing is fucking act.
That
Just act, man.
should be the first thing. Just fucking
Just
act.
further improve.
Scratch everything else, just
Reassess it,
act.
Just scratch everything we said in this podcast. Just act. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's improving your communication skills, whether it's improving your relationship, whether it's improving your career, be relentless at it, man. Like, you just got to go at it. Act.
Yep.
Be all in, as we always say, right? And of course, if you follow all these things, you might just have a better life.
I guarantee you'll have a fucking better
Oh, okay.
life.
You yeah, definitely will.
You'll definitely realize that you are the master of your own universe. Once you take
course.
ownership of that and be like, okay, I dictate what's happening around me, it's so much more powerful.
And on the flip side to that, then you kind of gain that responsibility of self to be like, hey, I have a responsibility to not be a fucking asshole to all those around me because I affect them,
yeah.
right? I know I had to say that to myself many times, still do sometimes. So, when you really want to be like, oh, whatever, angry and, coming in and with a bad energy, bad attitude, know that you're going to affect everybody else around you.
Yep.
And if, there's things that you need to improve and work on, man, it's never too late, right? They should have taught you these things in school, but they never did. But that doesn't stop you from furthering and bettering yourself.
I want to close off with this idea. Always be curious. Never, ever allow anybody or anything to allow you to stop being curious and start dreaming. Because this is the reason why we stop learning, we stop growing, is because we were told that things aren't possible, that they can't get done, or that's just stupid. The more curious you get, the more tools that you could get, the more belief system it's going to grow. So just always be curious. Never stop that. And we're firm believers that you could achieve anything, and that goes with the curiosity. Right? What else is next? That's why you'll never plateau, because once you reach that top, it's like, okay, I'm curious. What else can I do now? Right?
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you guys got something out of it, please do give us some feedback. Post it out to somebody else. And if you have any feedback or comments, it's at BTS.
Yep.
At
BTS at strengthenyou.com.
strengthenyou.com.
That's Bobby, Terry, Sandy at strength-n-u.com.
Till the next episode, I'm Christian.
I'm Carlo.
Thanks for listening.